Oh, hello everybody. You're welcome to the back page. I know throughout the whole week, you've been spending your time on the front page, reading the headlines and getting yourself amused or informed or angry with the stories you have read. Well, I want to welcome you to the back page where I'll tell you the stories that were never told and the stories that were told, but actually very funny. I'm telling you this on the back page. Welcome to CTTV. This is BackPage. My name is Kudah. You're welcome. Welcome to BackPage CTTV. That was a different way of introducing you to our show today. Being nice is not a weakness. It's a phrase I read on a poster in an institution that really struck me. I changed the nice with kind, and I realized that, a lot of the times people take kindness to be weakness. People take, when you have time for them, you spend time with them, you care about them, they think you're a nuisance. That thing happens with a lot of people I know. And while I was thinking about all the examples and stories of friends and myself that I know about people taking your kindness to mean your weakness, I returned to the institution where I saw it, and I was angry. I changed my position about that poster. It actually said, "Dear police, being nice is not a weakness." I'm not kidding. Look at the picture. Look at it. Dear police, being nice is not weakness. Now, Olam, this campaign you are doing is great, but I think you are targeting, you are profiling, and this is policist. It's not cool. I mean, you shade a police in his own station. But let's be fair, right? Let's be fair. We all have got to be nicer to ourselves. We've got to be kind. And I'm sure in the coming days, Ghana police will continue to be kinder to us. And trotro drivers, trotro mates will continue to be kinder to Ghana police. And maybe politicians will be kinder to the police by not interfering in their work, giving them the space to work. And we all will treat ourselves with a lot more courtesy than we have seen. Look, if you have any story of unrequited kindness, you can share with me. I'd love to review it for you. Send me an email, calebkudah@gmail.com. I particularly remember the day I saw my father cry. I mean, it was so cool. This is Africa. Daddy's not cry. But it introduces you to another part of your dad that makes you know, well, he's human. You appreciate all that package. And so let's not be afraid to be vulnerable, and let's not also be afraid to be kind to people simply because we've been kind to some and they showed us unkindness and made us feel weak. No. Being kind is not a weakness, and being nice is not a weakness. I love this campaign, except that it profiled the police. But yes, it should profile all of us because we all at fault one way or the other. Hopefully in the coming days, we will be kinder. But let me tell you about competition. You know, even churches are competing these days. I tell you, I've always been amazed how some of these young, charismatic churches actually dress ladies like they look very nice. And it's like they are targeting a particular guy and they are calling this brother to come to church. I'm like, no, I attend church too. They are competing for souls. Yeah, hopefully it's souls. But I saw this particular billboard that says, do you want a family pastor? Do you want a caring and judging or something like that? And I was like, hey, but now, is that how you're all advertising Jesus for people to come to your churches? That was quite interesting. But just like the churches, the media also competes, you know. And I remember one day I broke a story about the death of a big man in the government. He had died. I had checked, verified, double-checked, and cross-checked, and we had put the story out there. Well, it had some mileage because, like, deaths and shocks are always, like, shocking, and it went far. Then I got a call so many calls from my editors. Apparently, people were calling to say it wasn't true, that the man wasn't dead. I'm like, God, I am dead. If it happens that the man is not dead, my credibility is on the line. My job probably is on the line. So I was praying to the God of Pentecost. Now, I don't know what kind of prayer I was praying, but you can imagine. It's not like I was asking God to confirm my story for me to look good, but I was hoping that I did my job well. And I don't know, God being good to me, later in the day, there was a story that the president has visited this big man. I said, Shandala, Helala, Kuala Fialo. Yeah, that's unfortunately the media, the job of breaking bad news first. News that is bad to you, but yeah, breaking it first sometimes means that, yeah, you're doing well. So let's talk about the Bongo Boy, Manasseh Awene Azuri's documentary, The Militia in the Heart of the City. Yeah. And there's been some untold competition, unseen rivalry. Well, this week it's been so glaring how people are throwing shades using their media platforms. But yeah, let's look at it starting from here.
There is a militia group within the MPP which appears to have the backing of the government. Right. Make no mistake, this is not a state security agency, and this is not a private facility. This is the Christian Bock Castle, popularly called the Osu Castle in Accra, and this is the training ground and headquarters of the I Group, a militia group affiliated to the governing MPP.
1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1.
Until 2013, the Osu Castle was the seat of government. Currently, it is the annex to the seat of government, the Jubilee House.
Over this documentary, government fell over itself backwards and to make it look foolish, really. And I mean, the conversation among many was that the hype that preceded the documentary itself didn't make the documentary worth everybody's while. But the government seemed to be so focused on the individual and attack the work of the journalist without addressing some of the salient points in that documentary, for example. Meanwhile, the government failed to exert the same energy it exerted in condemning this documentary and asking for the media station, multimedia, to retract and apologize. They even reported them to the NMC. But when the CNN did a generalized story of child slavery in Ghana, made it seem all children were in child slavery in Ghana, the government was it took a rather sheepish tone on that kind of work. Well, but there's something interesting that happened. Paul Adomotri did an editorial on his show, Good Evening Ghana. Here's a taste of that.
Every president is required to do some politics, but there are some things that a president does, and it's statesmanship. And if you want to show a documentary to show a contradiction, this evaporating evidence is what you tag the president with and conclude by saying that national security is aware, president is chairman of national security. This is dastardly. This is the worst part of it. Making an attribution, connecting the president directly to your so-called militia or the company, because the leader said, when we went to the conference center, the president said, who are these people? They are great people. And the president was asking other people and asking the people to clap for themselves. We think he was encouraging them. If we are wrong, this documentary being produced by such an important media company should actually evidence it, because you cannot do that.
Now, the first time the documentary was published on citynewsroom.com was this article. Take a look. It was referencing Paul Adomotri, and it was quite copious. And Joy also will come back and hit at the man, especially when Paul showed up at the Emil Short Commission of Inquiry. They spoke to Kofi Abochi, who was the secretary to the commission, and he also made some interesting commentary that many people think is not. That comment, that news item from his comment, is sort of a way of multimedia or Joy News to exert their, to get back at Paul Adumotre, especially after his first opener, editorial that has been on Manasseh. You take a look at this one.
There was never an agreement with any witness, and Paul Adumotre was one of the witnesses. The difficulty with him was the fact that the commission was fundamentally focused on dealing with relevant witnesses. So the fundamental indicia for us deciding who a witness is before the commission is the factor of relevance. Now, to be relevant, you must satisfy one of three factors. One, you must have taken part in the activity on the ground, and therefore you've been implicated or you were involved in one shape or the other on the ground. Two, you were not on the ground, but you were in a certain command or control or supervisory position. And so, for example, for media houses, for example, maybe some of you were not actually there, but you sent people, and these people went and came back and reported to you. So you were in a direct report responsibility or position. And if you are not in any of these two categories, then you must fit in the third category. The third category is that you must fit in as an expert. Now, with the greatest respect, Paul Adumotre, or Mr. Paul Adumotre, appeared before the commission. The expectation or the understanding is that he was going to fit in one of these three categories. Now, I wasn't on the commission. I'm not. My commissioners took him through, and there were all kinds of exchanges. But one thing that became clear, and which is why the commission ultimately decided that they may not need to proceed further, was because the commissioners, in their judgment, came to the conclusion that of these three things that they were expecting, maybe he was in a reporting responsibility. In all of them, and from the exchanges that I had, he didn't appear to have actually fitted any of them.
Now, if you listen to this particular conversation, the gentleman was talking about factors of relevance, but there was a publication on my Joy Online that said Paul Adumotre was irrelevant. That's the man himself was irrelevant. But the judgment says that the factors of relevance, when the commission considered the factors of relevance, Paul didn't make the cut. And it's curious, for those who have forgotten, there's rumors, I'm just sharing rumors, that Paul Adumotre had gone to, he had his appearance at the commission on billboards across the country. He went there with a personal cameraman to take photos, and he went with a new bag with lecture notes, and he had a new suit just for the thing, only for him to be, sort of treated and discharged after 2 minutes, 22 seconds. You remember that thing? Yeah, take a look at it.
Were you physically present at any of the polling stations?
No, my lord, I wasn't physically present at any of the polling stations.
So how did you monitor the election?
So, my lord, if you permit me, I just would like to explain how we conduct election reporting for the purposes of main election and by-election. So we put together a production team of broadcast journalists, of cameramen, and of different people associated with it. Monitoring is done from people, reporters at the polling station, reporters at other parts of the constituency, so that we can put together a contextual story.
You are free to go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
This has been a very interesting 2 weeks or 1 month of media, underhand background shades at each other. And when we thought the whole thing was over, Umaru Sanda Amadou also penned a very long one, sharing his opinion. Umaru Sanda writes, why, oh why, my brother Manasseh. It was a really long one where he basically tried to say that after all the time he spent to go and look at the documentary, it wasn't worth it his while, and he thought that the documentary wasn't worth the hype and it wasn't good enough. So that was the biggest story that was untold among the stories that were told. Hopefully, we are looking forward to hearing from our friends again. Maybe we are going to hear, Sandapa. Manasseh, when he writes, Sandapa. But yeah, that's the biggest story that you were not told during the week, but courtesy BackPage, we told you first. Now, a joint trotro and driver mate force were not kind to a policeman as they unleashed beatings and we are ding on a policeman. Eyewitnesses say that but for the helmet, and the beatings were over him. See the beatings. They really beat him, indeed, but for the helmet, and Kanitiate, literally, he would have been really beaten. But the good thing is, you can't beat a policeman in this current Ghana and walk away free. The police swiftly arrested them and they put them before court. You should see the driver and the trotro mate. They were crying. Oh my God. You should see this. Oh my God. Look at the gentleman. He is crying. Oh, this is so sad. It's so heart-touching. Yes. It's touching. Look, they are crying after beating the policeman. They are here crying. You this boy. They will deal with you personally. And the mate also beat him. I'm sure they were reventing on all the $1 they've given to the police. It's also good to see them cry. I'm sure this will be therapeutic to the police who was beating. But yeah, the police. The police has made us understand that they've arrested them just like you saw indeed. But what raised a lot of suspicion among many Ghanaians was the fact that 3 Ghanaian Times journalists were assaulted by some of their men. And what will happen? What happened was that the police took a long time in apprehending their own. Now, in August, a former Director General of the Criminal Investigative Department is not happy, particularly at how unkind Ghanaians are treating the police, and also how the police some of the police are handling some civilians.
So many people who are undermining the police. You hear on radio, policeman is with lanyards. IGP is this, and so it gives people the courage also to undermine police. People speak on radio and nobody stops them.
When you say people, can you be specific?
Here, Kennedy Japan is one of such people, always insulting police. Is it good? He's insulting a whole institution. He is lambasting an institution, and when he does that, does it encourage people to do the same? People will also rise and then undermine the police.
Every weekday at 8 p.m., City Newsroom brings you analysis of the major news stories of the day. In-depth, comprehensive, and researched. It's 1 hour of local and international news from 8 to 9 p.m. It's the City Newsroom. Weekdays on City TV.
Welcome back to Backpage on City TV. My name is Caleb Kudah. Now, let me tell you something. The city has been doing pretty, I mean, the city has put Dr. Baumia in the house arrest for a long time, and on social media, boys are being very mean. I mean, with the way they are addressing the vice president, tagging him in statements he's made earlier and making mockery of him. But we seem to be transitioning from fundamentals to structures.
The lesson from history for governments is that you cannot manage the economy with propaganda. In fact, you can engage in all the propaganda you want, But if the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you.
The exchange rate seems to have exposed Dr. Bawumia big time, but now we are learning that the cedi has not been performing too well because of the structures.
The cedi inherently is a weak currency, and it will continue to depreciate because it's driven by the fundamentals of the economy. Okay? And by fundamentals, he mentioned structural ones, which have to do with our production of exports. The fact that we depend almost exclusively on primary exports, whose value is low in international markets. And then we also depend heavily on imports also, So those are the structural issues.
And the president agrees.
This is the matter that we should, all of us, understand as the origin of the real fragility of our currency. And because it's like all social and political problems, once you are able to attract people's attention, then of course solutions follow. But if consistently you're just harping at the periphery, you never get to the center of the issue. And
for many Ghanaians, we don't really care whether it's structures, fundamentals, or the roof.
We can do so many things, but because of you people holding PhD and so DD, and we don't have that PhD and degree and of all those, that is why you cannot talk. If you people are going to allow us with our own Ghanaian language, maybe we can talk so many things. But this PhD. Why? But anytime they wanted to make this program, they should make it in our own language, French language, so that we can express our self-emotion.
It's true. Tell them. I mean, I think it's very important. We say the informal sector is the backbone of the economy, and that a lot of unpaid taxes, tax net, we need to widen it, we need to get there. But a lot of the times we're speaking above the heads of many of the people who are in the informal sector. Today we are talking about structures, tomorrow we are talking about fundamentals. Maybe, who knows, the next government we're going to be talking about the roofs. Yeah. Well, the last time I heard, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they are saying that we're going to make speaking of French, our second language, when a lot of Ghanaians are losing touch with their local languages. Well, in the wisdom of the government, this will open more doors for us to French money, since we are not having enough of UK money and US money. But some nurses have been singing praises and worship for Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Well, these are private nurses. We understand they have not been placed for some years since they graduated, and they are not quite pleased. And so they were singing that song of praise for Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. They say Nana Diewu, Nana Dadaing. I don't think the government will want to leave them singing this praise song for a long time. I don't think that would be the situation. But there's one particular lady, in a tragic moment, she's won the admirations of everybody, and she's made leadership look so human, so empathetic, and so beautiful. Jacinda Ardern has led the people of New Zealand. She is immediately they've outlawed weapons immediately right away, and then she's also refused to call the gentleman who killed those people. She's refused to call him by his name. A really, really wonderful story that if you come to Africa, there's been a case of a disaster of perhaps bigger magnitude. Yes, Cyclone Idai. Yeah, that's what happened in the southeastern nation of Mozambique. We're told that most of the homes were washed away. Look at that. They say it's a sea island now. People are clinging to trees and the roofs of their houses. And this is a humanitarian crisis. We are hearing all of that, particularly around this. But what I'm trying to say with this Mozambican story is a big disaster. You don't feel the humanness in terms of the leadership of the people itself, at least leading a call on the world to come support them. You don't feel that. You feel the voices of volunteers more than you feel that of the leadership. And I don't know. Here in Ghana, Chereponi has been happening over the time. And our brothers in Chereponi in the northeast region have opened fire on one another. It's led to more like a crisis. The people have run away. What we heard on that was that NADMO has not visited some of the worst part areas. And their excuse is that they feel insecure. The rescue team from the National Disaster Management Organization feels insecure and that they do not have protection to go and give them relief items. Now here's the thing. The police have said that what they are saying is untrue and that they didn't request for police escort. You see the sense of urgency and how we do things in Africa? You see it? Well, let me urge those of you living in Wager, particularly on the cliff. This is the contrast. The stories should tell you something. Often Ghanaians will wait, there'll be disaster, and they will tell the media, we are calling on the government. You don't need to get yourself in harm's way, because if you do and disaster happens, then let me not go to NADO, but the relief items, by the time they will get to you, now have echo, Obiasoho. I'm not mentioning names here, but yeah, so look, where you are is a danger zone, and I think you should already be thinking about it. You should be. That was the Accra Music Expo. Look, I'm not Ghana, but for the first time, I enjoyed this sense of patriotism listening to all the many songs sung in Ghana. And for the first time, I learned the meaning of Adesango. I used to say a lot of things in my head, but I'm told it's Adesango, which means Nipa Edesi and Renam. I don't know how to explain in English, but have a feel of the Accra Music Expo in these videos. There's a lot more that is going to happen at the Music of Ghanaian Origin. And I want to say shout outs to all my friends who work in other media stations who attend our programs, but they won't want us to dance in the front because you don't want to take pictures for your bosses to see. See, your bosses themselves, they come and they enjoy that thing. So you have to come around. Let's do Mogo this year. It's going to be fun, but have a feel ahead of Mogo. Have a feel of how Mogo happens.
In which region is the Akosombo Dam located? I'll give you 3 options.
Okay.
Volta region, Greater Accra region, Eastern region.
Of course, I'll go for Volta. If you take me there, you're going to mess me. No.
What is the capital town of the Eastern region? Eastern region is your own regional.
I told you. I've been very busy now working in the studio.
We're running out of time. It's going to be an incredible Mogo, like I've said, but this is how we end Backpage. Remember that being kind is not weakness, and being violent is not a sign of strength. My name is Caleb Kudah. Catch you same time next week on Backpage. Take good care of yourself.